What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Welcome to another episode of Movie Swap. And tonight I have another very special guest. There are a few people out in the community that are always working towards bringing us together as collectors, not tearing us apart, and actively working to bring us together. And this is one of those people. So my guest tonight is none other than, and I'm sorry because I got some feedback over here, but my guest tonight is none other than Bob from Bobs Blurays. Welcome him to the stream.
What's going on, guys? How are you, Del?
I'm good, man. Had a good night so far?
Yeah, it's been a day.
It's been a day?
Blu-ray Tuesdays are usually a day for me. I had issues with my car and trying to run around. I hid some movies at Walmart last week. They were gone today, so I couldn't find them.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. I hope you managed to get your hands on them. I hope everything's okay with your car. That's a maybe not.
Yeah. Car problems suck, man. You know, you're like, man, you're spending $800 on a car to get fixed. You're like, that's a lot of steel books.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. A lot of steel books. Yeah. I completely agree. So I'm gonna start off with a question for you. I watched your latest video. At least I think it's your latest video. I didn't look this afternoon. It's about your viewing habits here. So you and one of your friends, you watched Martyrs, Raw, and
a Serbian film.
And a Serbian film, back to back.
Yeah, we didn't take any break.
Why? Who?
He said, "Why?" Oh, geez. You know what? We had. There was a night we were at a video store. Somebody was recommending us check out a Serbian film. He really wanted to watch it. And then a friend of mine, Caprice, had said, you got to check out Martyrs. And then I was like, why don't we do a triple feature and watch Raw with it? And just all three. And last night he was trying to pick out like a comedy to watch because he didn't know if he wanted to do all three of those. And it wasn't last night, Sunday night or whatever. And he's like, why don't we just do the triple feature? I was like, are you sure you're up for it? It's a lot of subtitles. It's like 5.5 hours of just subtitles. And I was forever scarred after Martyrs. And that was the first one. And then people were like, why did you start with Martyrs?
Yeah, no kidding.
I was like, because I didn't want to eat and watch Raw. And we had a bunch of food. So Raw was like just, I don't know, average, but Martyrs was actually a really emotional movie too. And the beating, there's like slight spoilers here, but when they start beating the hell out of this woman, it was almost too much for me to watch. That was almost worse than, I don't know, that the Serbian film's bad too, but it was hard for me to watch Martyrs because I was getting frustrated with that one.
So I've seen Martyrs and I do like it as a movie, but it is tough to watch. But I will say that at least I think that it has something to say. So I'm like, okay, I can watch it. And if someone, really wants to see it, I can sit through it again because I know that there's kind of a point to it. Raw, I've seen, I actually like Raw. It's a slow burn. I'm curious though, if you watched it like on its own without having watched Martyrs first, would it be better for you or not? Because I think having Martyrs on your brain is that's kind of tough.
I couldn't stop thinking about the final image of Martyrs in my head, and
exactly. I've never seen a Serbian film, and I don't think I'm going to.
No, I won't recommend that one. I was, my buddy in the middle of Serbian film said it's not that bad. I don't know what people are saying, and I was like, we got to the end, and I was disgusted. That what the fuck? I mean, excuse my language, but seriously, who comes up with that? Like,
I've heard as much about it, so I'm like,
the guy at the video store who told me about it was like, a Serbian film, the guy who made that should be arrested. And I was like, come on, dude, like seriously. And now I understand where he was coming from. Who comes up with that for an idea? Let's have a guy rape his own son. Like, what?
Yeah, really.
It's just, if you got kids, especially, a Serbian film is extremely uncomfortable to watch. A couple of my friends in the chat here I'm reading, and they saw it and they got kids, and it's
So far it's been a hard pass for me, and I'll keep passing that on down the line. My next question is, you recently moved,
Mm-hmm.
So are you settled into the new digs yet? It looks good behind you right now.
Yeah, this is the movie room. I don't want to show the whole thing because I don't have any posters up. At some point, I may just do a room tour and not have posters. I hate to do that because it just makes the room complete. I don't really have any wall space in here. I got 6 shelves in here. I got like 7 out in the living room. And then, so yeah, I'm going to have 13 shelves in here. It's going to be more like a movie apartment.
Okay.
But I really like it. But I was just expressing my frustration with StreamYard and my internet. So I'm paying for the 1,000 megabytes, and I have a couple friends that are like, you don't need that for yourself. But I'm still having issues. I lag out in StreamYard, and it's extremely frustrating for me because it doesn't look like I'm frozen. And then everybody's like, Bob, where'd you go? You froze. Like last night it happened twice, and I've tried to reset the laptop. It's just so frustrating.
I'm gonna guess it's got something to do with your area because I'm not paying for 1,000 gigs. I'm getting like 200 and something, and I've got 5 people here using it, and I don't really have that many issues. But I'm in the middle of a city, so I don't know if you're in the middle of a city or you're out in out in the sticks or what's going on with that. So
yeah,
it might have. To
I'm in like I don't know. I'm farther back in this apartment complex. It's a nice area and stuff, but I don't know. I guess I'll just have to deal with it, and maybe it is the laptop. I don't know.
Possible too. All right, so let's go ahead and get a rundown. Let's see who's here tonight so far. And Holland Oates was the first one in saying what's up to us both. And he was the first one, but I'm going to say Bob has already brought the crowd with him. So again, this is only episode 5 of Movie Swaps, and Bob is setting new records. We've broken 20 for the first time. So
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, and I figured we'd move it up with the stream tonight,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about that as it gets closer to 9. Emmett is in the house, and he always has a question for me. He says, "What's my favorite holiday?" I'm a Thanksgiving guy. That's my favorite holiday. Not like a holiday where you get to eat and relax. I don't get to do that too often. It's usually eat and do something else. Bob, do you have a favorite holiday?
I'm going to go Thanksgiving too. Honestly, Thanksgiving because it leads into Christmas, and I always enjoy Christmas. It's nice because you got October, then Thanksgiving. People tend to forget Thanksgiving because they just want to get there to Christmas.
Christmas.
I love Thanksgiving, man. You got Black Friday there. You've got, right before that, you got all the Halloween movies. And then, yeah, so I love it.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Magic Hands is here. It says, "What's up?" Mizzy E is in the house saying what's up to me and Michael Bob Jordan. All right, I like it.
Mm-hmm. That's my new nickname Mizzy gave me, and I think Cody as well. So I like it. I'll stick with it. I like Michael B. Jordan, and yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, it works for me too. I will say if you didn't see Mizzy on Movie Swap last week, go ahead and check the replay. We had a fun time talking movies, so check that one out if you can. There's the leader of Mid-Levolution, Mr. Ken, saying what's up. What's up, Ken?
What up, Ken?
And of course, Bob said with me, Gus.
Yep, I like that nickname. I hate Bobby, but when Gus says it, it works.
There you go.
Gus is my guy, man. I always say Gus is probably one of my best friends on Instagram. I freaking love that guy.
Oh, he's the best. And speaking of the best, Tony from Basement Blues is here. What's up, Tony?
What up, Tony? I was messaging him earlier about damaged steel books.
Oh man, we can all talk about that. Yeah, we got Gus saying what's up to a few people, and Mizzy saying what's up, and Mama Blu-ray is in the house. What's up, Mama Blu-ray?
Mama Blu-ray, how are you? I know there was some, unable to comment last night stream on Mike's channel, so the whole members only for that stream.
Yeah, I watched for a little while, and so I didn't stick around very long. So I was like, man, I can't interact with anybody. So. But I did watch
to avoid spoilers for Scream, so there's nobody random popping in.
Right. And I wasn't going to watch very long because of that. I'm going to try and see it this weekend. And Mizzy saying what's up to Tony. And Sean is here. Sean Zarnecki is here. What's going on, Sean? Mizzy again. Holland saying what's up. Well, we got a lot of people saying back and forth what's up. And there is the
Mika.
Podcast, Mika. I'm not sure if Kira is with her. I also did an episode with her a couple of weeks ago with Mika. So go check that one out. Also
I always feel bad if double feature podcast if I say hi Mika and Kira's behind that account, or she's watching with her. So hi to both of you.
How to both of you? Absolutely, absolutely. Mizzy saying what's up to
Hey Tony.
Ken. Tony's Movies and More. What's going on, Tony?
Excited for Scream, Tony? I'm sure you are.
Who isn't? Emmett with another question. Did you know my birthday is July 11th? I did not. I know we got into it on your stream a couple days ago about all the July birthdays.
You're July 16th or 18th? 18th.
Mizzy, and so we got a bunch of people still saying what's up. I'm looking for see if there's any let's get into down here. We got that is some triple feature talking about your
now Del, your birthday is what, July 18th or 16th?
18th. I'm 18th. Ken also talking about your triple feature. That sounds like torture.
It was rough, yeah. But my buddy loved it. He was happy, Chris.
He looked like it. He looked like he was enjoying himself.
He was having fun until he was a little uncomfortable with Serbian film. And during Martyrs, he was enjoying it until I was like, dude, this is like I'm struggling right now with this, because when it comes to beating women, that's a tough one for me in movies.
Right. So Tony says tough triple feature. So yeah, people who've seen those movies, they know. And if you haven't seen those movies, just proceed cautiously. I will say that.
And honestly, a few people on the comment on YouTube, and then I got some DMs. People are like, your next triple feature needs to be this. Started throwing out ideas for a series, and I'm like, he could handle that, my buddy. Me, I don't think I can. But he started messaging me screenshots because he saw the comments before I did, and he's like, I'm up for it. Let's do it. This, I've never heard of this, but it sounds sick. Let's watch it. And I'm like, man. Yeah, he give him the most sickest movies you could think of, and he's up for it. So.
I'll limit my twisted movies to one a night. After that, I need like a give me a Disney movie, something funny.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I watched Anaconda to like relax after.
No kidding. There you go. If you like the Sadness and Untold Story, you can watch those.
Did you see Sadness? Because I like Sadness. I haven't seen Untold Stories, but my buddy Adam has that for me to watch, and I do own that. So
okay, I haven't seen either one of those.
Sadness is a pretty tough watch too. It's kind of a zombie infection movie, more so a disease, but yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Okay, one of your favorite people is in the building tonight.
My brother,
Victor Cinephile. He says, "What's up?" He's saying, "What's up" to Mizzy. I don't know if he said what's up to us, but we'll say what's up anyway.
Hey, Derek. Yeah. All right.
And there is Culture Trini is in the house tonight. And I'm gonna skip over a couple of guys that everybody's saying what's up to everybody. Just highlight some people who just popped in. Adam the Movie Hunter.
I saw you commented on one of his videos recently, or the other.
Yeah, day. I did watch one of his videos.
Yeah, I appreciate people going and checking out his channel. He's one of those people. I talked about it last week, but him and among other people, man, I'm really close with in the community, and they're on a lot of streams. But unfortunately, not too many people know who they are just yet. But it's nice to see people branching out to check out new channels. I appreciate that.
No problem. Well. Try to watch everybody. And there's another guy you put me on to, Vinicio the Horror Cholo. What's going on, Vinicio?
Oh, Vinicio, he was live last night.
Yeah, yep, he was. All right, so I'm gonna. Oh wait. Do we have one? Holland says a Serbian film sucks, but it did its job. I'm totally desensitized.
How?
And all right, so the last one, double feature podcast. Haven't seen a Serbian film, but due to subject matter, that's a hard pass. I completely agree. And since that is not the subject of tonight, let's go ahead and get into the movies that we're going to talk about. And we're going to start with the movie that you suggested for me. So go ahead. I'm going to let you take it away and tell everybody about that movie. Give a quick synopsis of it if you can also.
Yeah, so we got Embattled here. This is the one I recommended to him. Sorry, I turned my phone off here. So when I talked to Del, he's like, so the idea behind it is like, I'll recommend 10 movies. And I just started naming movies. I didn't give him a list of 10. I was just like, and he's like, you can take your time. And then I was like, no, I'll give you one. And he said Embattled work, so he hasn't seen it. And I like it. I know he's into mixed martial arts, and this is kind of UFC, which sounds to be right up his alley. So I loved him battled. I just actually rewatched it a couple days ago for this stream as well, and still holds up great. That very emotional. Yeah, but I don't know what else you want me to say. I don't want to spoil anything. I want to hear your thoughts, obviously. So yeah.
Okay. So really, just a quick setup of the movie. We got Cash, who's a big time MMA fighter, and he is not the nicest guy in the world. He is definitely abusive to those around him, and the story really more follows his son Jet, who's getting to the end of his high school years and coming into his own and trying to be an MMA fighter himself, and he's also trying to deal with all the things that his dad put him through. And he doesn't live with dad. His mom and dad are divorced. So we also get to see his mom. He interacts with his mom. He has a younger brother who is on the spectrum. And we also get to see Cash's, his dad's next family, his other family, new family, step family, I guess, his second wife. And then, yeah, the story goes from there. So I'm not going to say too much more about it. Only thing I will clear up one thing about me personally. I'm a martial arts fan as far as movies goes. As far as MMA, like actually watching it, I don't really do too much of that. But I do MMA movies. Are most of them are great that I've seen. So
Yeah,
just just to clear that up. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Cash. Cash played by Steven Dorff. If you don't know him, you've seen him in something, I'm sure. He was the bad guy in Blade. That's the biggest, yeah, that's the biggest thing I could think of off the top of my head. For me, I've seen him in a number of films, and I think this is his best acting performance. He did a fantastic job of making you hate him. I absolutely could not stand him, and that's the mark of a good performance from a villain. You actually, you have a visceral reaction to that person. You just hate that person. I don't know if you rank it that high among Stephen Dorff's performances, or how you feel about his work in general.
I think Stephen Dorff's a good actor. I think this is his best performance that I've seen him in. I think he's an underrated actor. But on the special features of this, there's not like an interview, but it's more like the making of. And so they have the interviews with the cast, and he talks about getting into how he has to get into character to play Cash, because he talks about his values of a father do not line up with him as an actor. Like him as a father himself do not line up with Cash's values, so he is not that kind of father. So he talked about getting into role, but a lot of the other actors and actresses had in the making of had talked about his performance and saying how good it was as well.
Yeah, he was great. And to be honest, when I saw him on the cover, I wasn't really expecting much, because I think he's okay. Now, he's not a bad actor, but I don't recall ever watching him and being like, oh man, he was just great. And this time I really felt like he was actually great in the role. So I was very pleased with that. And I know it's tough for somebody like him, or anybody really, if you got to put yourself in those shoes and really be that guy for the movie. And I thought he did really well with that. I was also pleasantly surprised in Karuchi Tran. She's a younger actress. She came up through modeling, and I'm not sure if it was Instagram, but YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
His wife in it?
Yeah, his current wife. I had seen her in a couple of other things, and she didn't impress me much either. But I thought she was actually really good in this too. And she gave as much as she took, and she really made it believable when she did. I don't know if you even noticed her performance, because it's kind of a sideline role for a lot of the movie.
I thought she was beautiful first, and that's
she is. She is.
Her. Yeah, she's very pretty. No, I thought she was good. I thought, like, I had never seen her. I didn't know who she was, but I believed her as a wife living with him and stuff like that. I actually liked her performance. I thought she was a good character, likable character for the most part.
She was definitely a likable character. Of course, the main character is the son, Jet. And right now I'm drawing a blank, and I just looked it up before the stream. Sorry, but who plays him?
Darren Mann.
Thank you. Darren Mann plays Jet, and he had a tough role because he had a lot of emotions to display, and he had to carry the film a lot. Whereas with Steven Dorff, as great as he was really popping in to be mean for a while and then pop out, and uh, Jet, we're left with Jet to him to pick up the pieces, so to speak. So I thought he did a really good job with that, and he was believable enough as an MMA fighter that it worked for me. Um, your first time you saw this, how did you feel about him as a person and what he was going through?
The son, Jet.
Yeah,
Yeah, for me, maybe I'm gonna talk a little bit, get off topic here slightly, still
go
talking
for
about
it.
the movie here, but I remember watching this, and the first time I saw it, I said to my dad, "Dad, we got to watch this," and he had seen it. He actually saw it on TV somehow, but and sometimes he'll say I've seen it, and I'm like, "Ah, no, you haven't." I'll tell him, and he's like, "No, I think I have," but he knew the ending of this, but I don't want to spoil anything, but I think it's pretty obvious how it the story plays out, father and son. So, but yeah, it to me, I'm not an MMA fighter, never was. My dad was a boxer when he was younger, and he taught me how to fight a little bit. But yeah, my dad's nothing like Steven Dorff, but I could understand. He was close with his dad for the most part too. He got along with him, but his dad was a jackass. He was rude and disrespectful. He did. Um, sorry, it looks like I'm frozen here.
No, you're good.
He did nothing to help his mother. I think that was one of the biggest frustrations too, is that he had all this money and he refused to help. And even the freaking wife was like, "We can help." I don't want to spoil it though, because I know it sounds like, is anybody in the chat seen this movie? It sounds like not many people have seen this.
Yeah,
So.
I'm looking. I haven't seen anybody come across anybody right now. I'm kind of going through it, and everybody's still kind of giddy over a Serbian film.
Yeah.
So they're really talking about that. I'm getting towards the embattled comments. Veneer still talking about he has Serbian film from Unearthed, and I've seen it once and never need to see it again. I understand.
I tried to. So the part of the series I did on what it means to us is to bring life, to talk about movies and what they mean to us personally, okay?
Right.
And dive deeper. A lot of people sometimes do watch-alongs, right? And people review movies. But I wanted to do something where we discuss, I'm so hand movement kind of guy, but I wanted to discuss movies that, what it meant to you, what it means to you personally, what kind of attachment do you have, and how does it, and try and focus on movies that have a deeper meaning, like Martyrs, for example. In something, not just a comedy like American Pie. Yes, it could mean a lot to us, but I don't sit there and say to myself, wow, that's I think a lot about that movie. No, I just enjoy it because it's funny and I grew up with it. But something like this could be discussed like that. But I really want to bring attention also to movies like Embattled that nobody ever talks about.
Right.
So the idea of doing that series is, let's bring attention to movies that not only have a personal effect on us, but nobody knows what they are. Because when you do that, and I'll go back to Reindeer Games, after that stream, the Christmas stream, there was like 10 people that bought that movie. So when and it's not just me, other people do that. When you could bring attention to a movie that nobody ever talks about, people in this community, they go out and they buy it, they support it. And it's great to see people supporting physical media, but also checking out movies that nobody else knows about.
Oh, absolutely. So getting back to actually thoughts on the movie though. You mentioned the ending. So I want to go there. So you said we're going to try not to spoil it.
Okay, so
we're going to try not.
Be caution, people in the chat here. We might,
but I'm going to say we're going to try not to, but we might. So, and the reason I'm bringing it up again is you kind of said, well, it's obvious the way it plays out. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't honest. It wasn't obvious to me because I was expecting one thing and I got something different, and not only different, a lot more rough than I thought it was going to be. So when that happened, that kind of elevated the movie for me because I was enjoying it. But then at that moment, it's like, oh, they threw me a curveball. So, but you didn't, you saw that coming?
What particularly ending? How it ends? How the last scene plays out?
Not the last scene, but the last, the big battle.
Okay, yeah. I think I knew because I think I had either seen a trailer or just even looking at the cover art and even the back of it here and stuff like that. You could kind of get a sense for it. But outside of that, I might not have known. But yeah, I think I knew where it was going. And if you see the trailer to Embattled, you'll know how it shapes out, how the story shapes out. So, tread cautiously as far as the trailer goes.
All right. So before you recommended it, I think I'd seen the poster, but I don't think I knew anything about this movie at all. So that probably helped that I was completely cold when I went in, other than knowing it was about MMA. So when, like I said, when that big battle at the end happens, and what happens, I was like, oh, they kind of got me with that, and like I said, I was enjoying the movie, and that elevated it for me another notch.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it's a slow burn, but it builds a story. It builds tension too, and so you got to stick with it. And when you get to the end, it has a great reward and a really meaningful ending too, and something that comes full circle, that you get a really good climax and get to see. I don't want to spoil it, but you get to see what happens with Cash and even his fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
In him as a person and a father and everything like that too. So, yeah, but I didn't expect it to end the way it did. I thought we were going to get an opposite ending.
Right. That's where I was. I was like, man, this is not quite what I was expecting. I thought we were doing something different here, and I was about to, if I run, you know what? If I say anymore, I'm going to spoil it. So,
well, if you like, and this might be a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler necessarily. But if you like Warrior, you should like Embattled.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
anybody watching this who hasn't, if you're a fan of Warrior, you should like this. And I loved Warrior, and this adds a father-son dynamic. I don't have a brother, so Warrior wasn't quite as relatable to me, but the top 15 favorite films of all time for me. This one, I still loved it, but that father-son element really carries it for me.
Yeah, it definitely, that family dynamic is really important to the movie, and it definitely carries the day. Now I'm gonna go on the opposite end here for a minute. Something I didn't like about the movie. So I liked everything, just about everything about the movie, except one thing that kept taking me out of the movie. And the problem is, it had to do with the fighting. I hated the way every fight was shot in this movie. Just about every fight, I could not stand it. So let me explain. Every shot was either really close up. They were really real close ups, and there were so many cuts. And I think the reason, I haven't looked at any special features behind the scenes, anything like that. I think the reason is they were hiding Steven Dorff because he's an older guy, and as far as I know, he's not trained as a fighter at all.
So in the making of, they both trained. So Steven Dorff, you would appreciate it if you watched it. He was training like around the clock to get in shape and to be able to do his own fight sequences for this and stuff like that. So they had talked about him training in the diet he was on. And then when he wasn't shooting, he was training. And then he would ask to come and train more. So
he definitely got in shape for it. But I mean, I don't know how well how believable he was as a fighter. So if he was doing all that and he did his part, then I'm going to blame the cinematographer and the director, because every shot, I mean, it was throw a punch and then cut to another part of the punch and then cut to the punch. It was doing that whole MCU thing. That's one of the things I don't like. There's so many cuts for a punch or a kick. And then there were a couple of shots when they widened out, when I was looking at the screen going, that's not Steven Dorff. I don't know who that guy is, but that's not Steven Dorff. So unless I'm just, was projecting, but I was clearly seeing a stuntman. So that was the one thing that kind of took me out of the movie, but the story was strong enough to keep me. So I did enjoy the movie overall. All right. So let's take a quick look back through the chat, see if anybody is talking about Embattled.
Mostly they haven't seen it in a lot of highs.
Yeah, I see a lot of highs. Emma has another question. Who's the third and fourth people that I lost to in the movie collection battle? I know that Jagoda Blue is one of them, and at this point, I can't remember who the other one was, and I apologize because you might actually be in the chat. If you beat me, just let Emmett know. So 'cause I lost a few people. Eddie's Films and Stuff is here. He says he hopes everybody's doing well. So we got a lot of highs. We got,
and I'm gonna put this out there. I reached out to D-Ray after you had said that, so
yeah.
Ball's in his court now. He did get back to me, but he didn't say if he wants in. So ball's in his court
okay, cool. Hope he is. If you're not clear, guys, out in the chat, we're talking about the Hall of Fame, Physical Media Collectors Hall of Fame that Bob started up. He reached out to D-Ray, and once he does that, it's up to that person. Like, yeah, cool, let's do it. Or I'm not interested. Double feature, Mika and or Kira has not seen Embattled yet.
Yeah, Kira, I think, would like it a good amount.
Yeah, we know Karuchi Tran from the TV series Claws. That's where I know her from, and which she's good in. I think she's good in it, but I got the sense that she can only do that. But she proved me wrong, which I'm glad she did. So also she dated Chris Brown for a number of years. That's where my daughters know her from. Once she was on the show, they were like, "Oh, Karuchi." Claws as well. Somebody knows. Holland knows from Claws as well. And we got, that's right. We're just a lot of talking back and forth. I am not embattled myself, okay? And again, we got a lot of highs. We got movies, and Sue is here. So Sue is in the chat. Thank you, Sue, for stopping by. Check out Sue's channel. Great channel. Check out everybody in the chat. Again, I say that every week. Check out everybody in the chat. A lot of great channels here. Sue is the queen, as we like to call her. Thank you for stopping by. She says hello to me and you. She's dropping in before the roundtable tonight, so catch the replay. I appreciate that. All right, so again, not a lot going on with Embattled. We do have something here. Tim is here. What's going on, Tim? Says fighting scenes need to be filmed at more of a distance to really put you into the fight. I 100% agree.
You got to see Creed 3. They did a really good job with that.
I'm going to try to see that this weekend as well. So, cross fingers I can get to the theaters twice and see both Creed 3 and Scream 6. A lot of sequels going on. But yeah, I agree completely. You got to pull the camera back. And if you're going to be close, you have to do with the camera. If anybody's seen The Raid out there, they got some close-up shots during the fights, The Raid, Redemption, and The Raid 2. But that camera work is amazing.
The Raid is probably the best, maybe pound for pound with Terminator, the best action movie ever made. Mixed martial arts, definitely the best. The Raid is on another level.
Yeah, it is. It is completely on another level. We got some chatting back and forth. And
Mika asked, I don't know if you just had that comment up there. Yeah, I was just trying to look. I'd say, John Wick, I'm very excited for. Honestly, I don't care what everybody says. I like the Fast and Furious franchise. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Ever since Paul Walker passed away, it has not been the same. I really think, going to space and all this stuff, and I'm not a fan of, but yeah, I'm really excited for that. And Evil Dead Rise looks really good.
Yeah. And I'm with you on the Fast and Furious franchise. I've given up on them being good movies. I think they're just dumb fun, and I love all the dumb fun that I get from them. So the crazier stuff they do, the better I like it. I don't care if this time, like I said,
why do everybody complains? It's just all about family, whatever. It's like, it's just fun. It's just everybody wants action, right? Why do y'all love the MCU? Like Fast and Furious is no different than the MCU with the corny crap they do.
Yeah, I mean, if they jump through 3 skyscrapers at one time and catch a polar bear on the way down and put them under the car and land on them and roll off, I will be giddy and laughing in the theater and having a great time. So Tim says he trusts your opinion, Bob. He's going to give Embattled a chance. And we don't always like the same stuff, but I'd give it a shot. He didn't steer me wrong on The Cure.
It's good. We'll do it. We'll do a stream for that, Tim.
Outstanding. All right.
Shout out to Tim, man. I know I say this about Tim all the time, but dude, you talk about getting giddy over people. Tim is the guy. I get giddy over Tim. I freaking adore Tim, dude. He's one of my favorite people in this world, not just in this community. He is such a good guy. He's always looking out for people. And seriously, I say that, and I say it a lot, but he's done so much for me personally. So I can't say enough good things about Tim.
Yep. And this is just a hey, but I don't think I acknowledged Dimension Scott. He's here in the building. Also, another great channel. Check him out. And Tim had another thing. He says, Bob, did you ever see The Protector? Yes, that's a badass martial arts
I have
movie.
The Protector 2 from Magnet releasing. I don't even have The Protector, but I haven't seen either one.
Check them out. Tony Jaa. You familiar with Tony Jaa?
No. Yeah, I've heard of him. You know who I really like, and maybe you know how to pronounce his name because I butchered it the other night on my stream, is Eco something, the guy from the Raid?
I think it's Eco Uways or Uwe.
Okay, what a phenomenal.
Yeah, he's also from the Raid.
He's remarkable. That guy I could watch all day do action scenes.
Yeah. Well, Tony Jaa will fall into that category for you. If you've seen Ong Bak, that's him. If you haven't seen Ong Bak, see Ong Bak. And he did all of his own stunts, no wires, no anything. It's insane. He's about, he looks like a toothpick when you first see him, just a very well muscled toothpick, but he's a skinny guy. And the stairway fight that Tim references in The Protector is amazing. It's just crazy. He's just walking up levels and just kicking all sorts of ass all the way up there.
When you say stairwell scene, I always think of Atomic Blonde.
Yes, that is another great stairwell scene. Absolutely. So, but yeah, put that one on the radar, and if you find
the second one, I'll have to watch. I'll have to see if Magnet put out the first one as well.
I think they did because I have it, but I'm not within not within reach of it, so I can't tell you if it was Magnet or not. But yeah, check it out if you get a chance, and let's go ahead and wrap up on Embattled. I can agree these fast films are a lot of fun. This is Dimension. When Paul died, it was unfortunate, absolutely. So let's go ahead and wrap up on Embattled. So my thoughts overall is that it's a good movie. I did really enjoy it. I got really into the story, and Stephen Dorff was a big help in that. He elevated his game from anything that I had seen him do before. So I'm really happy to see that. And the father-son dynamic, like you said, it carries the day. It really pulls you in, and you really start to feel for this kid. You feel for Jet. I would have liked to see more with the younger brother, the one that's the autistic brother. I would have liked to see maybe a little more with him, and a little more with the stepson or Cash's current youngest son, the one from his new marriage, because that was also starting to get really dicey as well. But what's there works for the movie, and Jet, he really helps a lot. He does a great job, and all of it, they pull you into the movie and really help you, get into it. Like I said, I didn't really like the way the fights were filmed, and maybe it's a me thing. I don't know. But those are my thoughts on Embattled. You're a fan, obviously. You recommended it to me. So the question I have for me is, would I recommend it to someone else? I definitely would. I would say more so than for fans of Warrior, of course. For fans of MMA, I would, but more so for fans of people who are fans of movies that deal with father-son issues, because this really does deal with that. So if you're into those kind of movies, even if they're not action movies, but I would say, hey, go ahead and check this out. Any last thoughts on Embattled from you?
Yeah, I'm just going to say really quick, Cody, before you go, enjoy Child's Play 3 in theaters. I saw that. Cody's my guy. I love that dude, so appreciate you stopping by, but enjoy Child's Play 3. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. There he is, just popping in to show love. Thank you. I appreciate it, Cody. And on his way to see Child's Play 3 in theaters.
Yep.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. That's cool. Yeah. Him and Tim are big poster guys. So anyways, my final thoughts on it.
Sure.
Yeah, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I think I gave it, upon a rewatch, probably closer to a 4 stars. It really hits home for me, the father-son dynamic. Jet was not bullied, but I got bullied in high school, and I had to learn how to fight so I could defend myself because my dad was a boxer, so he had to teach me how to fight. So something like that. I unfortunately didn't get the pleasure of watching it or showing it to my dad. He had already seen it, but I would have loved to check something like that out with my dad. You know, I saw Warrior with him in theaters, and it would have been remarkable to see something like that and the way it ends with my dad in particular.
Right.
I love it. I really do. I think it hits home. Like I said, I think it's extremely emotional, which I really like because I'm all for emotional movies. So anything that's why, you know, I'm not a big fan of the stupid humor in movies. Like, you know, I won't get into it necessarily, but I'm a big fan of stuff that is dramatic. At the end of the day, my favorite genre is probably dramas, and among my favorite movies of all time usually falls emotional movies that have some kind of attachment or make me feel a certain way. Anytime a movie can end and make me sit there and think even for 5 seconds afterward, good job. And sometimes movies stick with me for weeks or even months or years. And one like that, I'm not going to say is going to stick with me for years, but I've always remembered that movie to be very good and emotional for me.
Okay. Fish is here. Just gonna do a couple of more before we switch over to the other movie. Fish, he's just hopping in to say, "Hey, just got home. Sorry I can't stay. I'll definitely watch the replay. Thank you, Fish. I really appreciate it." And he's saying hey to some people. Cody, we already talked about Cody popping in on his way to see Child's Play 3. And he says, don't forget to roundhouse kick the like button. Absolutely. Please do that. I would greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to Bob if you haven't. Subscribe to myself if you want to. And subscribe to a lot of these great people in the chat if you haven't subscribed to them.
Yeah, I'm going to call somebody out right now. Where's KB? KB, if you're watching on the replay, I'm putting you on blast right now. You were supposed to be here watching. Maybe he's just waiting for us to get into the next movie.
Maybe. So hopefully he'll pop in soon. If not, I'm sure he'll catch the replay. Tiana is here. Hey, guys. Sorry I'm late. It's all good, Tiana. Really appreciate it. I will say this about last thing about Embattled. I will say that Jet was bullied, but not at school. He was bullied at home.
Yeah.
He was definitely bullied at home. Tim said he was bullied and was suspended 6 times over fighting. Hated school.
See, Tim, I can relate. I was about 5 feet going into my freshman year. I was like the smallest kid, so you're just a target. I had a speech impediment. I couldn't pronounce my R's, and yeah, I had to ask my dad. He had to teach me how to fight. But it wasn't until like I won't get into the huge bullying thing here. I'm sorry if this upsets some people. A lot of people are the kind of types that say, "Let it go, ignore them, and it gets better." I don't believe that. I didn't have luck with that myself. I believe stick up for yourself, and yeah, that's how it was for me. Yeah.
For me, my time to be bullied, and I'm still barely over 5 feet. I'm only 5'4", but my bullying time was really in junior high school, so middle school and the other parts, some parts of the country. So 7th and 8th grade, that was my time, and yeah, we had some violent days during those times. So I definitely understand that. Mizzy says Tim was kicking ass. I hope so. Hope he didn't. I hope he got the better of people most of the time. Dimension also been through school bullying. By the time I got to high school, it had pretty much stopped, and I guess I kind of learned how to stay under the radar for the most part by that time. And
Tony's coming. I can relate. So my sister's name is Erin, and Tony. It was It was ours pronounced like W's for me too. It was Erwin and like Chewy, and so kids would ask you, like mock you, hey, pronounce this word in New York and stuff like that. I couldn't do it, and
right.
You know, it took me forever to grow and hit a growth spurt and all that stuff in junior high school. And you're just a target when you're smaller than everybody else. Kids are cruel, and it's no different now. Kids are so mean, man. They just pick on you for no reason because they can.
Tony also went through a speech impediment. I have a student. I can't give any names or anything like that, but just a general situation. I do have a student right now who I'm teaching first grade this year, and he has the same issue, and he's actually got a pretty severe speech problem. And so we give spelling tests. And from my end, you know, it's a little bit different now as an adult and as a teacher. And one of the spelling words started. It was with an R, and it was what was the word? I want to say the word was rabbit. Yes, the word was rabbit, actually. And thank you, Tony, for kind of reminding me that. And on the test, he got most of the words right, but that one word he actually wrote wabbit, because you know when you say something back in your head or you say it out, you spell it the way you hear it. So when I looked at the test, I felt bad but it was also kind of adorable. It was like, oh, he's trying really hard. So from my end, it was great. And he's in a small school environment. We're a small school, so he doesn't have to deal with that yet. But I'm hoping that when he leaves us eventually, when he gets older, that he doesn't have to deal with those kinds of things, because kids are crazy.
Yeah.
Kids are mean. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. And this is the one we've been talking about in all the promotion. We're talking about, we've had a big movie to talk about. And that is the movie that I've suggested for you to watch. If you've been following me on social media, you might know that this is my favorite movie of all time. So it's pretty close to me. And that is Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee, 1989. It came out. And this is the fancy smancy Criterion version that I bought like 2 weeks before they announced the 4K, but whatever. And so I just stuck with that. Got lots of special features and books and all sorts of things. Of course, I am also repping the Do the Right Thing shirt tonight. But quick synopsis for those who are unfamiliar with the movie. We are on the hottest day of the summer. The newspaper says 106 degrees. And there's a lot of tension going on. Mookie's our main character, played by Spike Lee, and he works at Sal's Pizzeria. Sal is played by Danny Aiello, and Danny Aiello, they're in a black neighborhood, a predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. So they're the only white people really who frequent the neighborhood as much a part of the neighborhood as they can be. There's also we also meet some Korean shop owners briefly. We have the police officers who are white, and like I said, all the rest of the denizens of the area are black or Hispanic. And the tension arises because Sal's Pizzeria does not have any. It does not show appreciation for their black customers, according to some of the characters in the movie. And I will leave the synopsis at that. I don't want to get into too many spoilers, though. This is a
I'm ready to get. I'm dying to get into this. I've got so much to say.
So I'll start with this. Your initial thoughts as the movie's playing. What were your initial thoughts on? I'm gonna go through a couple of characters. Let's start with Mookie. Your initial thoughts, not when we get to the end.
I didn't even know it was Spike Lee. That's my initial thoughts until I looked it up at the end, and I was like, "This is Spike Lee." Oh my goodness! And so, like I told you, and I think in a previous stream, I've only seen Miracle at St. Anna, He Got Game, and I believe this, and maybe one other. So I haven't seen like Black Klansman and a couple others. So yeah.
Okay. Sal.
All right, Sal. Yeah. You want my thoughts on Sal?
At the beginning, we're gonna get into him again at the end.
At the beginning,
not like the first half of the movie. Let's say that.
Okay, yeah, Dick. Not reasonable, unreasonable. Not. I'm like Mel. I got a train not too far from me, so if you hear the train,
okay.
I feel like I just take after Mel. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Unreasonable. He's unwilling to compromise. That's what I get. Impatient, frustrated, and I mean that's the heat, the tension, the boiling. This is so good. There's so much to say. Me and KB got into this a ton. This is why I want KB here. Somebody go DM KB, tell him Bob requested that he gets his ass in here. And but yes, because there was KB and I had like a 3-hour conversation on Instagram. It was great one day, just talking about it, and he was really excited for this, and he said that you would be able to chime in with a lot that would help me understand it. So
okay, we're gonna find out. My other character that I did want your initial impressions on, again, the first half of the movie, not really the back half, but the first half of the movie, Bugging Out.
Which one is the names here? Remind me.
Bugging Out is I guess someone might call him the main antagonist.
He's the one that says "Get some brothers on the
right." Him,
that guy. Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito played the role. Shout out to him.
Yeah. Attitude problem a little bit. He impatient. I mean, I think the heat is, everybody. It's boiling. It's hot, and tensions rise, right? And KB and I talked about it's like a a temperature, your pot's boiling and boiling and boiling, gets to a point, and it explodes and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think very oh gosh.
Go for
So
it.
Dell and I had talked about, and same with KB, I'm going to go all in tonight. I'm going to share my thoughts. This is a very not a controversial movie necessarily, but very important film, and it covers racism, and race is essentially at its central theme here. So I'm going to go all in, and it's everything I say. Dell and I had talked about, we respect each other, and no matter what's said tonight, he's going to help me understand some things that I might not have understood about the movie. So, and I was excited for that as well. I don't know. I thought he was. I didn't. I guess to tell you this, I didn't like any of the characters in this movie that much at all. I don't think any of the characters are very likable.
Okay, that's fair because the way you describe Sal at unreasonable, just stubborn. The way you kind of describe Sal is also the way you can describe bugging out. So that is completely fair. I will say there were a couple of characters I liked, but it wasn't any of the main characters.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Is this how you pronounce his name? Ozzy Davis? Or is it Ozzy?
Ozzy.
Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Gladiator, which is one of my from 1992, not the Russell Crowe one. He is one of my favorites. I absolutely love him. He was on the back of a cover today I saw at Best Buy. Big fan of him. I think he's great, and he was easily the most likable character and a very good character. Was he the mayor in this?
He was the mayor, and he turns out to be a much more important character than you would think. He has more of an arc than a lot of the characters in the movie. He goes through a little bit of an arc, and just a background on him. Mother's sister was the woman sitting on the stoop, the older woman sitting on the stoop that he kept talking to. That was his real life wife, Ruby D, if you didn't know that. And the two of them were in a lot of movies together, but in this particular movie, I'll say about his character, one of the things that stuck out to me was visually, because like I said, I watched it on the Criterion, the Blu-ray, and if you watch it in 4K, you probably got an even better sense of this. But I had never seen this movie on anything other than DVD. And yeah, it looks great. It looks fine. But now watching it on the Criterion Blu-ray, where they did a lot of work to bring the visuals out, make them pop a little more, what stuck out to me was his appearance, just how disheveled, how dirty everything looked, and then how much that added to him as a character. It was pretty amazing the effect it had on him, and he was the voice of reason a lot where there was no reason.
Well, I haven't seen enough with him, but his character in Gladiator, and then watching him in this, and Bubba Hotep was the one I saw him on the back of the cover today at Best Buy. I adore that man to death.
I've not seen Bubba Hotep. I got to watch that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start getting into it, I guess. So we get to the pivotal scene first. Really, the first scene, not pivotal, but the first scene. Bugging Out gets to the pizzeria and he orders the pizza. And we know that this is not the first time he's ever been here. I
want to cover the scene. I got to cover it because
go for it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So we're talking about the scene where he's at the pizzeria. Yeah. Okay. So a lot to say here. This is where me and KB had a big conversation. You can see,
okay.
Everybody. I always talk about Tim's passion, whether he hates or loves the movie. I'm very passionate, just like Tim too, about what I have to say. I'm not fake. I'm always going to tell you like it is, no matter if I hurt your feelings or not. I don't mean to, but that's just how it is. So, do the right thing. Okay. So this scene in the pizzeria, he gets his pizza and he's asking for extra mozzarella cheese. And it's $2. Okay, so that's cheap to begin with. That's being cheap. I'm saying, like, come on, man, right. Stingy, whatever. $2, seriously, some extra mozz on there. I think
it's $89. That's like $175 today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm joking. You're not joking. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now I'm thinking about today. I'm like, what? Come on, dude. But here's here's the thing. Okay, so then he goes and sits down and he looks on the wall and there's Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and all these other the white boxers and white actors, white athletes, and all this stuff. There's no African Americans. There's no black people on the wall. And he says to him, Sal, can we get some brothers on the wall? And so here's my thoughts on that whole scene, okay? And he starts to yell kind of to Mookie, you know, Mookie's just an employee just trying to stay out of trouble, kind of, so to speak, I feel like, you know, and be like a moderator, peacekeeper, whatever. But I was talking to KB about this. That whole scene, I feel like there's two things to it. Sal could easily hear him out and have some quote unquote brothers on the wall. It wouldn't hurt. Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, a lot of black actors, he could easily put some on there. Okay. If you're in a predominantly black neighborhood, as you said, mainly predominantly black neighborhood, why wouldn't you want to market and promote yourself to your customers? Your customers are all black customer base, pretty much. At least in the movie, we see that. And so why not have some brothers on the wall as your customer base wants? You know what I mean? Give your customers what they want. So I feel like that's what I meant by he's unreasonable, unwilling to compromise or whatever. And I don't understand it. I'm self-employed. I work for myself as a personal trainer and everything like that. You want to help grow your business. And so I don't see why he wouldn't do that. You're going to piss off customers, and it doesn't make sense to me. On the flip side of that, and I said this to KB, and this might upset some people, it is his business. I messaged KB. I got his ass in here. There we go. So I yelled at him. But so Sal owns that store. He did kind of build it, as he said. He doesn't have to put anything on the wall if he doesn't want to. He can have whatever he wants on the wall. That was my thought on that. So I thought of two ways. I looked at it two ways. I was like, I don't understand why Sal doesn't, but it's also his store and he should be able to do what he wants with it.
Good. Okay. So as I've gotten older and I've watched the movie more and more, I've come to that similar place. Because when I was younger and more militant, I would say, you know, it was like, okay, bugging out is absolutely right. And I still think that he's right to request it. I think it's a reasonable request, but made in an unreasonable way. And then Sal gave an unreasonable response.
He pulled out a baseball bat. Come on, right. Dude. What is wrong with you? That's what I mean by how impatient can you be? My voice is going up. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. And I'm glad you touched on the heat. I'm glad you touched on the heat because that is a factor in the movie, and that's one of the things.
He's in a kitchen too, you know, with an oven behind him. But still, what the hell are you pulling out a baseball bat for? Because a guy asked for you to put some brothers on the wall. Get the hell out of here with that. Come on, man.
And that's where a lot of the tension comes from, and a lot of where people who watch it, their first thought is, you know, well, see, look, we make a request. We being black people, we make a request. And your first response is violence. You're going to go to violence as your first response. So that's where, you know, Sal kind of, you know, he slides off the radar because before that, he seems like a nice, likable guy. He's a decent guy before that. But then once that happens, it's like, okay, your true colors have been revealed at this point. You know, your first instinct is to grab a baseball bat, like you said. And
because of the request to put some African Americans on the wall, it's not, like you said, it's not a bad request. There's nothing wrong with it. I could go into a store and say, hey, you know, Chinese people on the wall here or something like that, you know, or white people or whatever. That's not a wrong request. You're just asking a question. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see a problem in that either. But how you deliver it definitely.
Okay, you were freezing a little bit. I think you got all through, but if you dropped out, you were just, I think you were saying that how you deliver that request really does matter. And I agree with that. The way you say things matters. But at the same time, it wasn't really an aggressive request at that point. At that point, it was.
That's what I was saying before I froze. I was saying there's nothing wrong with asking that question.
Right.
And
Right.
you're in a predominantly, that is your customer base. That's why I don't understand it either, because that is your customer base. Don't you want to market and make your customers happy? Is it really that hard of a request too? All of
So
this at the end of the day, I feel like, is not an issue if he just listens, if he hears them out.
and just going back to my own childhood, because one of the reasons this is one of my favorite movies of all time is, yes, it does deal with that issue, but this is pretty much New York as I grew up in it. And just about every character here, I've met somebody just like that person, and that includes Sal. And so when he doesn't want to do that, I understand from that perspective. It's, you know what? I've been here 25 years. I've only had white people on the wall for all this time. Why should I have to change now? Because I'm obviously successful doing it this way. And that goes into that also starts to deal with a little bit of white privilege. It's like, you know what? I can do whatever I want no matter where I am. I'm still going to be successful here because look, I'm the only pizzeria in town anyway. So what does it matter whether or not I put black people on the wall?
Now, when he started, though, that place, it wasn't a predominantly black neighborhood, though, at the time, right? I mean,
Right.
so it changed too. So sometimes you have to, it sucks. I get it. But sometimes you have to adjust and change with the times too. I'm not saying you have to compromise or anything like that or change who you are, but sometimes you have to adjust and make changes with the changes of the time. I can't just keep using a flip phone because, maybe that's a bad illustration, but you sometimes have to adjust.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And over 25 years, though, he has never had to adjust. So it's like, all of a sudden, here comes this guy coming in saying, hey, I got to change things. Well, who are you to tell me to change things? I'm me. I'm obviously successful. You're just a customer of mine. If I lose one customer, what do I care? I've got all these other people that are going to come in and keep buying my pizza.
That's why I said I understood him. And I was telling KB, I said, I don't think he had to put black people on the wall if he didn't want to. It's his store. Now I understand the request, and on the flip side of that, I'm like, it's not a hard request. Let's say if I was in Sal's position, I'll put him up. Are you kidding me? I love Michael B. Jordan. I think Michael Jordan's great. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to me, but I'm not Sal also. You know what I mean? And the whole of the different situation, but 25 years and things like that. But I don't think it was a hard request. I think it's smart business to at least have that conversation and say, hey, yeah, who would you like to see? I could see if I could make it happen. But on the flip side of that, I definitely understand not wanting to change anything. It's his business. He doesn't have to.
Okay. We're going to continue this, obviously, but I did want to acknowledge that it is past 9 o'clock. So I understand that a lot of people are going to head over towards mid-level media to Ken's stream. He's very popular in our community. He started up at 9. If you're still here and you're going, please hit the like button on the way out. Catch the replay tomorrow. And if you're sticking around, I really appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and keep this going. So with Sal, like I say, he's unreasonable in one sense. I mean, he has a point on one end, and he's unreasonable on the other end. And I think that's a theme that runs throughout all the characters in the movie. With bugging out, he's reasonable with his response, made with his request rather, and then maybe unreasonable with his reaction to Sal's reaction. Now, my question is, after Sal's reaction, though, is there a different response that he could have after the baseball bat comes out?
Well, now you showed your true colors, like you said. I think at that point you showed your true colors. I mean, the whole term burning a bridge and stuff like that. I apologize. That's, you know what I mean? But he's not going to do that. If anything, he makes it where he starts yelling, I don't need your business. Boycott me if you want to. All that stuff.
Right. All right. So he leaves the shop, and Mookie has to escort him out. And we in here somewhere we get introduced to Radio Raheem, another major part of the movie. So where does Radio Raheem fall on this for you?
Well, if we're going to talk about Radio Raheem, we have to get to the big climax of the movie then, because I have some thoughts on that too.
Okay. So all right. So let's save him then. We can save him for a minute then. All right, so let's go back to Mookie for a second. So you mentioned
Instigator.
huh?
Instigator, first word that comes to mind for
For
Radio Raheem.
Mookie?
Radio Raheem.
Rado Raheem. Okay. I I tend to more put bugging out in the instigator role and Radio Raheem in the I'm just gonna be a tough guy no matter what.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I was like not Spike Lee's character though. No, he was definitely not. I don't see him as an instigator. If anything, more the peacemaker.
He was trying to be a peacemaker, but he also stood his ground a couple of times during the movie before we get to the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
He stood his ground earlier in the movie and let it be known, hey, you know what? You can only push so far before I'm going to push back. And one of those things was the conversation he had with Sal's oldest son, Pino, and or was it Vito? I'm sorry. So what do you think about this conversation? So I'm going to spoil this conversation a little bit.
I think this one's okay to spoil. Sounds like most people in here have seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I tried to not to dive into spoilers within battle, but it's hard not to talk about Do the Right Thing and not.
Okay, cool. So in this conversation here, we get to talking. The two characters get to talking after one of Sal's sons, the oldest son, he drops an N-bomb and he's just kind of giving it to his younger brother and everybody else and how much he hates the neighborhood and hates the people here, and he's just going on. So Spike Lee's character Mookie pulls him aside and they have this whole conversation about, well, who's your favorite baseball player or who's your favorite basketball player, your favorite movie star, your favorite musician? And his answer is Magic Johnson, his favorite basketball player. Eddie Murphy's his favorite movie star. And he says Bruce Springsteen is his favorite musician, but Spike Lee's character Mookie is more like, hey, all right, I know that it's actually Prince. It's not Bruce Springsteen. And his response is something that I have actually heard more or less in real life. So this is a part where I think some people who watch the movie might not understand that this dialogue is true to life. They might be like, well, nobody's going to say that. Nobody's that stupid. But I have heard people kind of say similar things in real life. And his basic response was, hey, yeah, they're famous Black people, so they're not the same as Black people. So did you have a response to that?
Is this the scene in the diner when he's like telling him to man up basically and stick, like he's got to talk back to his brother?
This is the older brother. This is when Mookie's talking to the older brother.
Yeah.
So this is I think before that. And they're kind of standing off to the side over.
This is that scene. Yeah. What? So, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, did you have a response when he said that? And when he says Magic Johnson, Eddie Murphy, these people they're Black, but they're not Black. Did you have a response to that or a feeling when he said something like that?
Wow. Okay. All right. What doesn't make them Black? I because they're popular or because everybody likes Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Eddie Murphy, or what? I mean, they're still Black.
Yeah, they're still Black. But like I said, I've heard people say this. I've heard people like, well, yeah, I like them, but they're different. As if fame somehow makes you not of a certain race, which is
that almost sounds like the I'm not racist, but
yes, I'm not racist, but pretty much.
Yeah, or I have Black friends.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be racist? I have Black friends. Yeah,
similar to that. So, what did you think of the younger brother, the one who, yes, Mookie did or suggest that hey, kick his ass and make him stop bothering you?
Yeah, he was a wimp.
I was feeling the same way. I always feel the same way about him. He kind of went with whichever way the wind blows.
Yeah, he didn't have. Yeah, he was a wimp. I'll just say that. I want to keep it nice.
All right, let's take a break for a second. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. If they're talking about Do the Right Thing, Hall & Oates, Sweet Dick Willie, that was Robin Harris's character, one of the old men sitting up against the wall there. He had one of the great lines, and I've heard people paraphrase it or use it, rip it off in later years, where he says they were talking about boxing, they were talking about Mike Tyson. Said if Mike Tyson even dreams about whooping my ass, he better wake up and apologize. So that's
You
always always tough.
you talked about the colors on the Blu-ray. I watched the 4K steelbook I have of it.
Uh-huh.
Found it for a good deal. It was out of print at the time, and I think the colors are very important. And I watched the special features on the 4K, and I'm sure the Blu-ray from Criterion has some really good special features. But it helped me understand the movie. So when I watch a movie like Do the Right Thing, if Tim's still in here, Smooth Talk, a lot of Criterion movies, because some Criterion movies are really heavy, but they have good special features, some interviews. So whenever I don't, either two things, don't understand a movie, or I think that there's some controversial topics in the movie, or heavy something about politics, anything, right? I'll dive into the special features to see if there's a good making of, or the director or cast has something to say about it. And I thought Do the Right Thing, I did that for a little bit. I jumped into some of the special features, and they talked about trying to capture how hot it was on camera. And the colors too. And KB told me a very good point. He said the movie films more like a documentary, the first half especially. And I thought that was such a great point, because I noticed that with the camera work. But that's something I actually wanted to say. I've talked about this before. I am a camera work just enthusiast, right? I'm in love with it. I absolutely just, oh my goodness. And so cinematography, things like that. I never like, we didn't talk about CGI and stop motion and stuff like that in film class. It was all about camera work. So I fell in love with that stuff. And Spike Lee, I was foaming and drooling at the mouth at some of the camera work in this movie.
It's gorgeous. So going back to the colors though, really quick. So that wall where Sweet Dick Willie and the other two are sitting, that red wall, I think that was also big in helping convey the heat factor. So you had a lot of reds, and if you look throughout the movie, there's a lot of reds and a lot of oranges. So that definitely shows us the heat. And then of course everybody's just sweating profusely whenever you see them. Double feature, Do the Right Thing, great movie. Mega Mike is just joining in. Hope everyone's doing well. Do the Right Thing is a great movie, a very good movie, says Mizzy. Mega Mike Steelbook from Target was an awesome addition. I passed on it because I just bought the Criterion literally a couple of weeks before. Mega Mike says you need to get on watching those Spike Lee movies. So,
I'll say this one thing though. I talked about wanting to dive even deeper in what it means to us on a series, and doing this for this movie, because I think it would be really beneficial and good. Excuse me. But I absolutely love doing stuff like this. And you could see, I hope people could see the passion in that I'm real when I speak about movies. And I absolutely love doing live streams, but especially something like this, because we're talking about an important topic and really diving deep into some things that could be misunderstood or just deserve to be talked about on a bigger and deeper level. And I really appreciate being able to do this with you and even KB, and hearing some of the people in the chat like Mika and Holland over here talking about the movies. So I just wanted to say that I really do appreciate being able to do that and read the chat and stuff like that and what they have to say. Because there's a lot of people that, like KB said, he was alive, you guys grew up, together at the same time. So 1988 or 1989, KB had told me, he says he remembers the hottest day of the summer that year in Brooklyn. Was it?
They were in Brooklyn. I was in Queens, which isn't terribly far.
So he said, I remember the hottest day of that summer. So for me, somebody like me, I'm just going to be real, and I'm going to say what I have to say here. Being a white guy watching, and I haven't been able to watch as many black cinema movies. Okay. Mizzy recently made me a watch list, and I can't wait to dive into it, because he put about 8 out of the 10 that are black cinema. He put Black Klansman on there, and watching Do the Right Thing and KB telling me to watch and then being able to do this with you, it really opens up my eyes. And watching The Hate U Give, I will always get to that, one of the most important movies for me to ever see, because it opened up my eyes in ways I can't even express, I don't know if I froze, sorry. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You did briefly. No, I was going to say this. So you bring up something that kind of bugs me a lot about movies like this and when they don't get the accolades. So this year, Do the Right Thing, it was one not nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and to compound the error, I would say the error, to compound that, the movie that won also dealt with race, but it was from a far different perspective and more of a kumbaya, let's all hold hands kind of deal, and that was Driving Miss Daisy.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah, I didn't see that one yet.
Right. Now, fast forward 30 years, and we get to, I can't remember if the year was 2017, 2018.
The Hate You Give?
Say it again.
For The Hate You Give or for what?
No, not for hate. Well, The Hate You Give was in there. Let me put it this way. There were a lot of movies that year that dealt with race. There was The Hate You Give. I'm not sure if this was the exact same year. This was the year Black Panther was nominated.
Is that Train Spotting or Blind Spotting? Which one is that called?
Blind Spotting, which was not nominated that same year. What was the other movie?
You got Black Klansman.
Black Klansman was nominated, and another Spike Lee movie, Black Klansman, and the winner of the Best Picture was pretty much an inverse of Driving Miss Daisy, doing the exact same thing, which was Green Book.
Green Book, yeah, which a lot of people call the white savior. I've heard people say
it is completely that, and we can get into that another time. But the point is, where we're having a problem is, okay, so we have all these movies about race, one in 1989, and again all these years later when Green Book wins. It always seems that the movie that makes white people the most comfortable is the one that wins the award.
No, you know what? I like that you said that, because The Hate You Give dove into something that I didn't understand before, in the fact that only a Black director could make a movie like The Hate You Give, and I'm so glad he did. And coming from George Tillman, because he's one of my favorite directors of all time. I was just having this conversation with Mizzy. I love Mizzy to death. We had such a good conversation about George Tillman and The Hate You Give and Do the Right Thing as well. But yeah, The Hate You Give. Before that, because that was such a prevalent time with the black on the white cops on black crime and things like that, and The Hate You Give it's opened my eyes. And then I had seen that years ago, and then watching this movie, and I was having this conversation with KB. But it is unfortunate that Do the Right Thing is 100 times even more relevant today and than it was at that time. We'll get to it, but the scene at the end of the movie is almost shot for shot what happened with George Floyd.
Oh yeah, it's definitely real life played out, or right before us, it seems like. And
I want to get in there to the end because there's a lot to say. I mean,
there is definitely a lot to say, and I've kind of been dragging, just kind of trying to set up our thoughts on it so far to that point. So let me see if there's anything else I want to get into before we actually get to the end. Just a couple of minor things. One thing that was pointed out to me, because I've seen this movie probably 20 times, 25 times in my life, and for most of those first viewings, and I was never really a big fan of Mookie, but he didn't become not a bad guy, but he didn't become somebody I wasn't too fond of until my later viewings. And it was actually it was a woman who pointed this out to me, because it's there in the movie, but my focus was on what's going on at the pizzeria so much. But Mookie's a terrible dad, so that was one of those strikes that just kind of like, okay, yeah, he's okay there, but he's a terrible dad. Even when he goes to see his son, he's not really going to see his son. He's just going to have sex, try to have sex with his baby mama, so to speak. And so that I more relate now. If you had said to me 10 years ago, well, there's nobody in the movie I like, I would say, well, I like Mookie, but I probably now it's like, no, I really didn't like Mookie. And we talked about father-son stuff in the last movie with Embattled. So I don't know if you paid any attention to that in this movie or not.
Not really until the end when he says, I'm going to see my son.
Okay.
I think, yeah. So I didn't really, but keep in mind, for me, with Do the Right Thing, and I told KB this, I was slightly bored for most of the first half of the movie.
Okay.
It was slow. And as KB told me, it's setting something up. It's like
Mhm.
that's where he described it as a boil on a pot, like boiling and boiling and boiling to the point where it burst or whatever. So I guess the movie started to lose me slightly. I just and it's not that I can't handle slow burns or a movie that's setting something up, but those are just my thoughts on it though.
All right, so with that in mind, so I'm gonna take a guess at something. So that means for you, the humor of the first half, because a lot of humor in the first half didn't
I
hit.
don't think I laughed once. No,
Okay,
no,
so
I didn't notice any really humor. I thought the movie was well, there was a couple scenes or whatnot, but no, I didn't really laugh. I didn't think anything was laugh out loud funny.
okay, so that definitely makes a difference in how you view it. Because yeah, it can definitely be. I can see how it's really slow if the humor is not working for you at all. So for me, the humor works, and again, it goes back to my upbringing. And like I said, everybody in this movie, just about every person in this movie, I've known somebody like that person, like just like that person. So when I see different things, they automatically struck me as funny. You didn't have the same experience, so it didn't hit the same for you, which is completely fair. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this ending. So let's go ahead and get into the ending. So we're gonna spoil it if anybody hasn't seen it, if anybody left hasn't seen it. um it's kind of hard to talk about the movie without spoiling it, so we're just gonna
Gonna
go
be
ahead.
deep scene for scene spoilers here.
Right, so I guess we start with, we really hadn't talked about the crew of kids, that's not kids but like teenagers, late teenagers, kind of bopping around together, the trio, so to speak. They kind of, they get into it with the mayor at one point, and they show up behind bugging out when the guy steps on his shoes at another point. And this is the group that has Martin Lawrence in it. Were you surprised to see Martin Lawrence in this group?
Yeah, I like Martin Lawrence. He's not a big actor in this, but yeah,
No.
they're instigating. They're like, "Damn,
So
you're not sneakers or whatever it was." Yeah, and
so
they didn't look scuffed.
so that there is a like a black mark of you, because
That's scuffed. Yeah,
there is a scuff. But the important part you said was the instigating. So that sets us up to know that that's what they do. So when they come into the pizzeria at the end, Sal's nice enough to let them in, nice enough or greedy enough, maybe wants a few more dollars, whatever that is. But he lets them in right as the store is closing. And as they're getting their pizza or about to get their pizza, that's when Bugging Out and Radio Raheem pop in. And go
with the
ahead. I'm gonna let you start. Go ahead from
with the
there.
radio. Yeah, this is one of those things for me. I always feel comfortable talking about it directly after I watch it because it's fresh on my brain. So then you were the one who commented on my YouTube channel. I know we're not playing trivia here, but whenever you're on the spot, all of a sudden you start to forget details.
Yeah.
Not just trivia or actors' names, but sometimes details of a movie all on the
Right.
spot.
So I
So,
don't necessarily need details, but just
no,
kind
no,
of
no,
get
for sure.
feeling.
But so we get the radio. He's playing it really loud, and then Cell ends up busting it, and that leads to a confrontation. There's a lot to cover here, a lot. But you get Cell and Radio Raheem fighting, and it's a brutal fight. And at one point it seems like Radio Raheem is ready to or almost kills Cell or is capable of killing Cell,
He's
choking him.
definitely capable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that almost foreshadows what happens to him right before
Mm-hmm.
he's almost able to kill, Cell. He ends up getting choked and killed later on in the movie. Not too far after this, but yeah. So after they fight, who knows who calls the cops? I don't even know because Cell doesn't call the cops at that point because he's
Well, I always take it as you get a major disturbance in a pretty crowded area. People are going to hear. People hear things, and so
yeah.
somebody calls the cops,
But
and it's a
but
it's a heavily patrolled area.
the fact that Cell doesn't call the police, in my opinion, is important for what I'm going to say here. So we see Radio Raheem getting dragged out by the police, and one of the cops lifts him up with the baton, I believe is what you call it. And at one point, he's choking him. And at one point, we see Radio Raheem's feet dangling off the ground. So the amount of force you would need to, especially a big guy like Radio Raheem, to be able to lift him up with the baton and have his feet dangling off the ground, told me in that moment how hard you have to be choking somebody to be able to do that. But the cop ends up killing Radio Raheem, and they just drag him away too, like a rag doll, and put him in the police car and everything like that. But that goes into the scene now where doesn't Cell say something really stupid afterwards, like it wasn't my fault, or what does he say?
Pretty much, he's like, yeah, he's like, it wasn't my fault. And it's kind of sheepish the way he says it,
Yeah,
and everybody's,
he says what it wasn't my fault. I think,
right.
and it's not a good response to obviously what just happened, but this is something that has happened a ton in the last 5 years, and this I don't agree with. Okay, and this may bother some people, but I completely against rioting, looting, and all that stuff. And they go on to burn down Cell's building, throw stuff around, and then obviously they end up burning it down. I don't agree with that. Cell obviously had fought with Radio Raheem in that scene, but he didn't call the police, and he also was not the one who killed Radio Raheem. I don't agree with burning his building down. Okay. That is something I don't agree with at all. And that's why when I think of this movie, I'm like, nobody does the right thing. The cops, the characters, none of them. And that the police in this movie were so effing bad. That to so racist, and there's scenes in the middle of the movie as well where they're just driving in this slow motion. But that's the scene in particular where I'm talking about. Unfortunately, that scene almost shot for shot happened with George Floyd, but instead of being choked with the baton, he's being knelt on, and it is so bad that we're watching a movie from 1988 or 1989, and we have to worry about this stuff happening today.
Yes, and that's part of a big problem. So, all right. So you said nobody does the right thing, and I agree with that. Not many people. Nobody's really doing the right thing here. Everybody's just doing the instinctive thing or the first thing that they do, or those in some cases the very worst thing that they can do. Um, as let's touch on Sal not calling the cops. So again, for me, it's like you living in that area. There's so much, somebody's going to hear with that much commotion is going on. So somebody calls the cops, and as we see through the movie, the cops' presence is not an accident. So it's a heavily patrolled area. So they're going to be in the area anyway, because as you see, they're just kind of rolling through the neighborhood. For instance, when they're seen in the middle of the movie, when the guy goes through the fire hydrant, again, nobody actually calls the cops. They just materialize almost out of nowhere because they're just constantly in the area. And that hits at something that a lot of people have been saying. Certain neighborhoods are poor neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, they're more heavily patrolled and overly patrolled, which also leads to a lot of the violence that we see. And so that it never bothered me that they got there, and it never really, for me, never gave Sal a pass. Now, I will say, yeah, he didn't commit the murder. But at this point, it's a bad look, especially since everybody in the neighborhood, by the time this happened, everybody in the neighborhood knows of the confrontation from earlier in the day with Bugging Out. Trust me, everybody already knows that he kicked him out of the store over the pictures on the wall. So it's a bad look for him all the way around. And then by the time we get to, so when the cops finally show up and they do what they do, yeah, it is eerie resemblance to a lot of things, not just the George Floyd thing, but a lot of murders over the years. And right after it happened, you heard this is where Spike gets kind of heavy-handed, and some people ding him for that, where he actually has characters mention names of real people who have been murdered by police. And again, he does a similar thing with Black Klansman towards the end of that movie. So again, it's a shame that it's still happening. It's crazy that we're still dealing with the same thing, 30 years later. So
I had asked KB when watching the ending too, I said, is Spike Lee, because I couldn't quite figure it out. I said, do you think Spike Lee's trying to say these people are good, or these people, the black people or the white people or the cops, who's right, who's wrong? And KB said, I think that's Spike Lee lives it up to your interpretation, especially with the two quotes at the end of the movie as the credits roll.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Yes, he absolutely does. With the two quotes, one extolling the values of peace, the Martin Luther King quote, and then the Malcolm X quote, where it's like, hey, okay, I'm not out here seeking violence, but if you're going to bring me violence, that's what you're going to get in return. So we see both ends of it. Um, do you think the movie leans towards one of those quotes or not?
You know, I thought about this too myself. I don't know, the violence maybe. I was just really upset in general. Mika had said it. Very emotional ending. That entire last 30 minutes really just very emotional. There's a lot going on. Um, I don't know. See I don't I don't know. Some people I've had conversations with where they uh believe that riding is the only answer, and that gets your point across. I'm in the boat, and I know this upsets some people. I don't agree with riding or looting. I don't think that is the way to go.
So if we go back to 2020, and this was the year of the George Floyd situation, and then all of the subsequent protests, and then there were some riots and looting in some places. So we had a lot of people coming out again saying similar things to you. We don't agree with the rioting, don't agree with looting, and on the surface, I do agree with that. However, I will say this: the response to that, to people on the other side of it, because it's usually a white response. The response to people on the other side of it, to black people or Hispanic people, brown people, whoever it is, makes it feel like, okay, we're gonna value the property damage over the and that's where a lot of frustration comes from. And I think this movie brought that to the forefront. And again, we're still dealing with that, but that's kind of my experience with it. It's like, okay, yeah, you, you're coming down hard on people who rioted or looted. And again, even in the case of 2020, it's not always clear who did the rioting or looting, but that's another issue. But it's like, is that really more valuable than the lives, not life, the lives, multiple, that were taken?
No, and I don't. That's the thing. Like, I don't think I'm saying that at all here. Um, I don't obviously like police violence and white police officers. It doesn't even matter because of the whole Memphis thing. Black kids and black men being targeted by police in general does not matter. I'm not saying that um, the rioting or looting is more important than the loss of a life, because I don't obviously at all. I'm just saying I'd never agreed with like violent a crime for a crime. But then again, I like revenge movies, so um, but yeah, I just have never necessarily been one to say destroy, like, so something like that happens, and then you got, and it that happened in Minnesota, and then you get the rioting and looting out here in Chicago. There was like just buildings and stuff like that. And so my point is, people that weren't involved in these crimes at all, their businesses are being destroyed for no reason. That's what I don't agree with.
Okay, okay. Um, So I brought up my own personal experience, at least as far as in general, as far as characters go. So let me just add a little bit to it, so you can kind of understand why I might have some of the feelings that I expressed. So where I grew up in Queens, not in Brooklyn. They're not very far apart. I did spend a lot of time in Brooklyn. I had friends in Brooklyn, but in Queens, where I grew up, my actual neighborhood was predominantly black. My high school where I went to school, however, was in a predominantly white area, but it was a mixed school. It was basically split down the middle, or thirds, because it was blacks, whites, and then Hispanics and a lot of Indians. So we had a lot of everybody at the school. However, where it was located was predominantly white. It was an area called Ozone Park. I grew up in South Ozone Park. The area is Ozone Park, a lot more a lot more predominantly white and Italian at that time, coincidentally. Go to the next neighborhood past that was a place called Howard Beach on the other side of Ozone Park. Howard Beach at that time, I don't know about now. I haven't lived in New York in a really long time, and I haven't really kept up with what the neighborhoods are like. Howard Beach was all white, as far as to my knowledge. And again, this was in the 80s. And it was to the point where I had friends who, for whatever reason, they found themselves in Howard Beach. Either they went somewhere on the other side, or maybe they were passing through. And if you were there, especially if it got near dark, you were actually chased out of Howard Beach, physically chased out of Howard Beach. And I had lots of friends that experienced that. I personally didn't. And then in Howard Beach, the other part of that is there was a young gentleman who his car broke. There was actually, I think, 3 guys with him in the car, but his car broke down in Howard Beach. He was a black man, and he went into a shop, again, coincidentally a pizzeria. He went into a shop looking for help, and he was chased out of the pizza shop, and he's trying to get away from these guys, and he hops a fence over onto a freeway and is killed. And this happened 86, I think, 85 or 86. It was my freshman year of high school. At this high school, again, it was the next neighborhood over. So I had a lot of kids from Howard Beach that went to the high school. For a week, we had a police presence at the school because there was basically a race war going on at my school for like a whole week. And we had also had news media coming up there. I actually got interviewed by a radio show, asking my opinion on the event. I don't remember what I said. I was 15. But anyway, those are the kinds of things that I were near. So when the violence goes back the other way, I'm not going to be the person that's out there doing those things, but I understand the frustration that comes from being on the other side of it.
And I appreciate that. And like even having that conversation with KB, I think that's why I was looking forward to this conversation. And KB had said, I think Dell's going to help you have some things to say, based on your opinions and things like that. And I did not so for me, it's funny you mention that because I grew up in Elsip, Illinois, which is not too far outside of the city of Chicago. But if I go into, I don't know if you've ever heard of Robbins out here or anything like that, but I could go about 15 minutes over and we got a city called Robbins, and that's somewhere where a white guy shouldn't be out, especially late at night, in particular. And I've done DoorDash and things like that, and sometimes I'll end up out there and I'll have my dad or somebody tell me, "What are you doing out there? You gotta get out of there." So, yeah, I can see that. Obviously, I've never had anything like that, but I have, on the news, unfortunately, there's quite a bit of shootings and things like that. A lot of crime rate out there.
Right. All right. So just a quick, let's go back into the chat for a minute and see if anybody has anything to add. Our friend is here. KB says Brothers on the Wall is marketing.
So let me ask you, Mika grew up in Brooklyn, right?
I think she was a Massachusetts area.
I thought she grew, because I know she Mika, if you're out there, she said yes, you were chased out of Howard Beach in one of the comments.
So maybe so. Holland Oats, Bob, don't lose your voice. You have 40 more streams in March. All right, so Double Feature Podcast, speaking of Mika, we can see both sides of the argument. The problems again rise with the failure in delivery and the inability for people to listen to each other.
That's talking about him asking for Brothers on the Wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Tug's just saying, hey, we got some haze going back and forth. So I apologize if anybody's offended by me skipping through all the haze, but I want to get to anybody who has anything to add to the conversation. KB says, in real life, Danny Aiello couldn't get through that scene before busting up the radio. Okay, so KB, if you're still out there, explain that a little bit. And the reason I'm asking that is again, features guy. I just never have been. Sometimes I'll watch them, sometimes I won't. Um, so do you mean that he couldn't get through the scene because that was like that's just what he naturally just went to, or was there something else, some
I
other
thought that
ulterior motive?
too. I was wondering, yeah, if he's out there, I'd love to hear what he means. And Mika said Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, she probably has heard about her Howard Beach then. All right, and she says I've also seen the businesses will move into predominantly areas of people of color, and they added here. Let's see,
And
and they
Mika,
don't care to engage with their community. Okay.
Kira, if you're watching it with Mika, it sounded like you are. I apologize if I always say Mika. I do apologize. I'm so used to seeing Mika's face in streams and things like that. So I do apologize, Kira.
Yeah, I think we covered that a little early. If she was here earlier, so
Yeah.
I hope she was, and if not, yeah, we did cover that. Mika and Kira. Ken is about to start later, guys. I did not know
Mm.
that.
I thought that's what he might have meant. Yeah, KB. Sorry. I'm always, as the guest, it's easy for us to just look at the chat as it comes through. So I apologize. But
Oh,
KB,
no problem.
KB answers that question.
Okay, okay, cool. Every Holland says everyone left has seen it. I hope. I think so. Tiana said she saw it, and that's a powerful scene. I'm not sure which scene she's talking about. It might be when we were talking about the conversation between Mookie and Sal's older son.
Yes, that's it's that conversation. Yep.
Okay. They're black, but they are far removed from the black experience, is the thought behind it. Okay. Okay. She's
That's
talking about again the
what you
famous.
were talking about, Michael when
Right.
he says, um, yeah.
So
Magic.
to that, I want to say I would say they themselves are not really removed from the black experience because they had to grow up somewhere. But I think that they're thought of as separate from the black experience. They're not what you think of when you think of average African Americans. I think I'm saying that right.
Well, she's got the thought behind it right there, so maybe she's saying the same thing. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. This is Gore Forever. He said, "What's up? Thanks, Gore Forever." He helped
What's up, Chuck?
promote the
Appreciate
stream.
you stopping by. He'll be on tomorrow night's stream.
Yep, he helped promote this one, so I really appreciate that. Go check him out.
Chuck's a good guy. He's one of those people. I want to give a shout out to Chuck. He's one of those people that does like he announces movies coming out, and he's a good guy. He'll actually DM you and comment back too. So he's got a big following base, but he'll have a personal conversation with you.
Okay, cool. Holland says that's a great line by Sweet Dick Willie. I think he's talking about when I mentioned the Mike Tyson line. Evening, everybody. Chris C is here. What's up, Chris C? And we got some more back and forth. Love the conversation. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, is that the same Chris C on Instagram too?
I believe so.
Okay.
And Chrissy says Malcolm X is Spike Lee's best film to me. Very good and very real. It is an awesome movie. I have it as my second favorite Spike Lee movie. So I will not argue with you. It is an awesome movie. If you haven't seen that one, Bob, definitely.
I've never seen it, but I got it right there.
Okay. Did you get the Criterion?
Yeah, that's exactly the one I have. Yep.
Okay. Let's see if anybody else has anything here. Him and Jordan Peele have become great trendsetters for cinema. Agreed. Agreed. Also, double feature.
I really like Jordan Peele's movies.
Mm-hmm. And Chris and the late John Singleton with movies like Boys in the Hood, which resonates to this day. That movie is spot on about everything in that part of California.
I was just saying I have to rewatch Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood before 90 stream because I have to see if they'll fall in my top 25 because I think Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood both very well might. But I don't have the 4K from Criterion of Menace to Society, and it just kills me.
I do have that, and it looks good. It looks good. All right. Holland talking about he scuffed his J's, scuffed the Jordans. The ending is very emotional. Another powerful scene. Absolutely. We were just digging into that. Sad that the film is still so relevant today. And we did both mention that. KB says, I'm Michael Jackson eating popcorn right now. If you've seen the Michael Jackson theme where he's just kind of chewing this from the Thriller video, it's a great meme.
I saw it when I saw that comment come across. That's why I was laughing. I was like, if Del might be saying something very serious, and KB sent that, and I might have started laughing. I was like, don't laugh because then it'll make me look bad. But I blame KB.
Chris, hope you're feeling better. And KB asks me, what high school? John Adams High School. And yep, Ozone Park. That's where it was. Joey Fama. And yes, you were chased out of Howard Beach. So Mika and Kira, is that a personal experience or something that you've just heard about? If you're still here, just let me know how you come to know about Howard Beach from New Jersey.
How is Howard Beach now?
Like I said, I haven't lived in New York in so long, so I really can't say. Maybe KB, if he's been back recently, maybe he knows, or anybody else here from New York might know. So I cannot say for sure. So I don't want to put that out there.
Cities change so much. Sometimes they get worse, sometimes they get better. They change it up. So
right. RP Yusef Hawkins, who was also killed a few years before Do the Right Thing, in a similar manner. I think he died in the back. He died in the back of a squad car, if I'm not mistaken. Graffiti artist. August 1989. Was that your high school graduation year, KB? Or what is that date? I know the movie came out in June.
Was that the Hottest Day in the Summer, maybe?
Might have been, but that would be after the movie because the movie came out in June 89.
Yeah.
So a lot of that response does stem from frustration and anger. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was talking about there. Newark, New Jersey. She was answering your question. He couldn't say the words in the script, including the N-word. So we're talking about Danny Aiello with the last part.
I heard about that with Leonardo DiCaprio for Django Unchained, and was it Samuel L. Jackson? He's like, just say it.
Yeah.
Say it, motherfucker. Right? I think he says or something like that, I heard. So
yeah, I did hear about that with Leo, and I'm gonna say this. So Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie, but I highly doubt he was on set or anywhere near Danny Aiello at this time. So, but having a Samuel L. Jackson in your ear telling you to just say it, I think that would kind of propel you to do things.
Yeah,
he's Nick Fury for a reason. That's for sure. No prob. All right. I'm gonna go up. Here we go. For Mika, Chris says yes. That's me on IG. Very good. And heard about it from friends and family who have had experiences like Del. Not sure how it is now. And KB, that's a good question. It's probably gentrified now. A lot of New York is. I know a lot of Brooklyn is for sure. Just from talking to people who are still in Brooklyn and even seeing things on TV and YouTube, I know Brooklyn's heavily gentrified now. I'm not sure about Howard Beach, probably so. It'd be interesting to go back just to see what that whole area is like. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start to wrap it up. So let me go ahead and before we get to final thoughts, is there any other part of the movie you want to dive into before we do that?
No, I honestly think I covered it all, and I hope everything I said. Obviously, for me, it's with all due respect and everything like that. It's obviously a film about racism, and nothing. Those were my thoughts on the movie. I like the way it comes together at the end. I like the way KB explained it to me in a voice message. This is why I'm the kind of person who, if I don't understand a movie, I'll go to special features sometimes, like Smooth Talk. I thought there was a deeper meaning, which I liked. I understood it, but I just wanted to hear what from a woman's perspective and things like that. But that's off topic. But in general, even if I don't like a movie, if I don't like something everybody else does, I'll hear other people. I'm like, okay, look, I hated this movie and it's one of your favorites. What maybe I'm missing something, right? Now this one I liked. I'm just saying I didn't love it the way other people did. So I'll wait for my final thoughts to give my rating on it and kind of what I thought as far as that goes. But I did like the movie and I really like the ending. It's just that it's a slow burn for me and it kind of starts to lose me slightly.
Okay. So, and I mentioned this before, but to me, what that tells me is that the humor just did not land with you, and that's perfectly fine because humor is so subjective. All art is subjective, we know that, but comedy is one of the most subjective things. And for this one, my experiences uh, let me laugh at a lot of the things that are happening on the screen and made the movie go by quicker.
One of the reasons I did like it so much, and I think I stuck with it, the camera work had me from the start.
Camera work it is amazing. And he's dealt with Spike has dealt with a lot of really good cinematographers, and he has a really clear vision. If you're looking for more camera work things, just from Spike Lee movies, Malcolm X is one that has a lot of great camera shots. Um, Inside Man is one of his more accessible movies. Denzel is in that.
Oh,
Uh,
that's Spike Lee?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
uh, and that's got a lot of great shots in it. Of course, Black Klansman does as we get further on down the line. Girl Six is one of his weaker movies, but as far as visually goes, it's got some fantastic things happening. And then there's another movie very little known called She Hate Me. That's also just got some crazy looking still shots in the movie. The movie itself is it's kind of iffy, one of his weaker ones. But if you just want visuals, that's a good one. So let's go ahead and get into your overall thoughts of the movie.
Yeah, I liked it. I gave it 3.5. I was probably around a 3 before watching the special features and understanding a little bit. The idea is trying to, I didn't really catch that watching it until they said it, and then I thought back to it. So that's what I mean by watching special features, of trying to convey the heat on camera. I thought that was really cool of hearing the cinematographer talk about that.
Okay, okay. So yeah, for me that heat thing is always come through for me again with all the reds, all the oranges, and all the sweat. Everybody is just dripping with sweat throughout the
It's
entire
not even
movie.
that I didn't notice the heat. I just didn't think about that was part of the camera work. And when KB said a pot bringing it to a boil made total sense, and I just thought that was a good perspective of it.
Yeah, and the entire movie is definitely doing that. So, would you recommend the movie to someone else? And if so, what kind of movie viewers would you recommend it to?
Yeah, I would recommend it to a lot of people because I think I have talked to a few people that don't like Spike Lee at all. Um, I think like two people in particular. I won't name names or anything, but
Mhm.
I would recommend it to people because it covers racism and I think it's relevant today. So I would recommend it to not just white people, but also black people. It doesn't matter who. I would recommend it to pretty much everybody. I think it's relevant to everybody. I think it serves a purpose, even if you don't like it. I think it's good to watch once. You know how you'll hear a lot of people say, I think it's good to see once. I think a
Right.
movie like this is definitely good to see once.
Right, right. Absolutely. I completely agree with that, and not because it's my favorite movie, but because of the ground it covers. Like you said, it's still completely relevant, even all this many years later, which is uh, both sad but a testament to the movie itself that it has staying power. And for me, I would also say that just think about uh, what I said about certain movies not getting accolades because they make certain people uncomfortable, whereas those movies on the same subject that make people feel better about themselves are the ones that win awards. And I'm specifically talking about Driving Miss Daisy, which beat out Do the Right Thing, and years later with Green Book beating out Black Klansman, even though Black Klansman is not
I'll be
good
honest.
a
I'll be
movie.
honest with you. When it comes to award season, I like Derek, Sue. They're very big into the awards, and probably most people in this community are. I don't really dive deep into the awards. I don't have predictions. I don't even know that I watch them every year. I probably don't. I didn't see the slap live. So I don't really dive deep into I don't like I just don't think the Oscars ever get it right half the time. They ignore certain people. I mean they ignore certain genres. So I don't.
I'm not big into the awards, but when it comes to movies like that, movies that are trying to say something, the Academy, they always present themselves as, we're looking for movies that say something, and we're looking for movies that take chances when they do. But then when they turn around and award the movies that way, it's kind of like, you're lying to me. It's kind of a slap. So that's where I kind of pay attention to it. I watch the Oscars and I've seen, a lot of the Oscar movies, but I'm not going to do a deep dive. I'm not going to do what Derek does, and even more shout out to him though, because he's doing fantastic work with all that stuff. But yeah, when it comes to what they say they're awarding and what they actually award, it just kind of like, you're
Well,
not being honest.
I know you'll like this one. We're gonna attack Mike here a little bit, but yeah, you're calling Licorice Pizza most original script. You lost me.
Right, right, and yeah, that one just yeah, that's another stream. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a whole nother stream. All right, so before we completely wrap it up, I'm just gonna go back through the comments. Let's see any that's still here. If you are still here and you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and do that. Please go ahead and subscribe to Bob. Go ahead and subscribe to each other. And if you're really feeling generous, go ahead and subscribe to me as well. And Chrissy 187 is another good one with Mr. Jackson in it. There's so many Samuel L. Jackson movies. I mean, I'd have an easier time naming movies he's not in, because he's in everything. So
When I'm on Letterboxd, most watched actor list is his, and then like Clint Eastwood or Tom Hanks or something like that, and it's not even close. And that's because there's like 25 Marvel movies he's in.
it's the same for me. I was actually looking at it not long ago, and I've seen something like 90 something Samuel L. Jackson movies. He's by far my first. The next one I can't even remember. It might have been Denzel or somebody who was like 40 or 50. It's like not even really close. It's just crazy how many movies he's been in.
Yeah. That comment
All right.
right there, fun fact, the pizza
Yeah.
in that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. It is from Sal's, and there's actually a I wouldn't call it really a sequel, but then Spike Lee did make another movie in that same neighborhood, and Mookie does appear. He does appear as Mookie years later, though it's not really a sequel. It's a movie called Red Hook Summer.
Well, that's
Interesting movie.
that comment, right?
So somebody brought that up.
Your boy KB, brother KB, as he says, always brother Dell, right? Well, KB's got it covered.
All right, I'll get to it. Yes, good, Holland and Chris. Yeah, Holland. Been a while since I watched that film. Inside Man. It's a good movie. It deals with some things. Has a lot to say in that movie too, but it's not as fiery as this movie. But it is a pretty good one. Clive Owen is also in that movie, and is Chiwetel Ejiofor? I think he's in that movie also. There it is.
I got a question for you. I'll wait until you get to Double Feature Podcast, Mika.
Okay. Mookie was also in 2012 Spike Lee film Red Hook Summer. Yeah. Agree, Bob. Movies like this and Mississippi Burning for me are period pieces that should be shown and studied in schools. And there you go. Samuel Jackson is everywhere. One of my favorite actors. Is this the one, or is there another comment?
Yeah, I do agree with Chris as well. Sorry, I was daydreaming. But yeah, first off, Mika and Kira are always in streams. You'll never be in a stream where you don't see Double Feature Podcast, Holland Oates, Mizzy, so many more. This community is awesome. But are you a bigger Samuel L. Jackson or Morgan Freeman fan?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay. I like Morgan Freeman more.
I do like Morgan Freeman, but I think that's a whole nother stream where I can get into why I like Samuel L. Jackson more than Morgan Freeman, because there is a reason, but I won't get into it right now because then we could be here another hour.
Yeah.
I will say this for Morgan Freeman: it is, along with Samuel L. Jackson, one of the most recognizable voices ever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've seen these memes, but they're out there. There's memes where it is just a picture of him, and it will say something silly like, "You just read this in my voice," and You totally do. You see a picture of him, and you immediately his voice just starts playing in your head with whatever you're reading. It's amazing.
You know who else has got it? One of my favorite actors is Kevin Costner. His voice is so iconic too. He's done voiceovers in the Art of Self-Defense. He did the voice for Super Bowl Sunday this year. I like Kevin Costner a lot too.
That's interesting. I've never thought of Kevin Costner as an iconic voice.
Yeah, if you think about it though, there's a lot of these clips have him doing the voice for it. The dog movie had him as the voice for the Art of Self-Defense, the Art of Racing in the Rain. Damn it, I can't speak.
Yeah. The Art of Self-Defense is a good movie though, if you haven't seen it.
That's a fun one, yeah, but that's not the same movie.
Not the same movie.
No. There is a dog in that one too, though.
Yeah, double feature, agreed on that. Great stream. Thank you, Mizzy. Much appreciated.
We need to get shout out to Mizzy, man. I know he's still in here. I have had the pleasure of getting to know Mizzy more. I cannot wait to have Mizzy on my channel, for the first time. I love that dude. He's so respectful, man. He's an awesome guy. I adore Mizzy.
He is, and Mizzy, don't take offense to this at all, because I mean this in the best possible way. But he's got a lot of Tony in him. He's got that dry.
He's shy too. He's shy.
Yeah, he's a little shy, and he's got that dry wit. So he's gonna slip something in there, and then it'll catch you a little bit later. You go, oh, okay, that was a pretty good one. But yeah, Mizzy is awesome. Chris saying what's up. So we got a few more people saying what's up. Fun stream. Thank you, Tiana.
Another one, Tiana. Awesome. Chris is always. I mean, I say this in every stream, so I sound like a broken record, but I just don't care because I'm allowed to say what I want. I love this community, man. Like these streams are so fun. 2 hours flew by, but hanging out with you, and then it feels like these people are in here too with us. Like
it does.
I love this community, man. But I talk about that a lot because I live on my own and I watch movies and I work, so I don't bag my blues like Tony, but it's great doing stuff like this. I love it.
Absolutely. And I've said this about Tiana before, and in case she didn't hear it before and she's still here, when I got on Instagram, because I was on Twitter for a while, and then I eventually got onto Instagram, and Tiana was one of my first followers and also a big supporter on IG. She commented on every picture, every pic I put up. She liked them all. And here she is watching me on YouTube. So I really appreciate Tiana. And KB says, good job, fellas. I'll catch the replay from the beginning. Yeah, do that. We talked about Embattled, which stars Stephen Dorff. If you got in here.
KB's going to be like, man, Bob called me out.
Yeah, Bob did call you out. Double Feature Podcast tells us great stream. Thank you very much. Mizzy's my guy. And Tiana is awesome.
KB,
all agreed.
If you do watch the replay, it's all in love because you're my guy, man. KB knows that though.
It's definitely love, and we had a conversation backstage before the stream started, and you mentioned it right at the top. No matter what, we have different opinions on the movie and things in life in general, but it's still we're going to come away from this still friends, still cool, still having great respect for one each other. So I really I'm glad that that's the case, and that can happen in this community.
And we talked about that. Tim talked about that on his channel recently. He did a video talking about like Bubba Hotep in particular is the different taste in movies, and people who will comment in a stream and be like, they get actually mad at your opinion. Those aren't the people that I find to be like a part of this community, though, because people like Mika, Tiana, you, KB, Mizzy, so on and so forth, Ken, Tim, aren't going to get mad because you have a different taste. And I'm the kind of person, if Mika loves a movie I hate, I'll message Mika on Instagram and say, hey, was there something I missed? Can you help me understand it? Maybe I didn't understand the movie. Maybe it had a deeper meaning and I didn't quite understand it. What did you love about it?
Right. And just about everybody I've encountered, or at least the people I choose to encounter, they're great about that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you know what? It didn't work for you. And maybe sometimes, especially when we get on a stream together, with all the guys and gals, and we'll give each other, a hard time over it, but it's all in love at the end. We're still
Home Alone.
Exactly. All right, so we got yeah, somebody follows Tiana. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Like, so we've been going for 2 hours, and it flew by for me too, and because we really had a good conversation. I don't want to sell Embattled short, because it's obviously it's not as much meat on the bone as Do the Right Thing, but it is a good movie. On my letterbox, I went 3.5 stars on it. I did enjoy the movie, so go out and check that one out because a lot less of you have seen that.
I'm glad we both enjoyed each other's movies. I definitely didn't go heavy with it. I mean, Embattled, like Cody said, has some definitely emotional punch, but it is not as heavy-handed as Do the Right Thing. That's for sure. Now, in all fairness, I tried to recommend Men of Honor to him first, but of course he's seen that.
Yeah, I've seen Men of Honor, and it is a good movie. It is definitely a good movie. So yeah, couldn't recommend that one for me. Chris says, shoot with what I watch. I know if most will not like. LOL, it's love. So yeah, we all have those weird movies that we don't think anybody else will like, but you'd be surprised.
And
but
it's fun getting on here and look, in that stream we did, the Rotten Tomatoes stream, I was genuinely a little concerned that you remember that stream. That's when you said, but I had a few concerns because I was newer to YouTube at that time that I did that. I was a little concerned that some people either in the chat or live were going to be upset. But me and Sue came directly for Tim in La La Land and Dunkirk, and he was able to handle it. So,
Tim's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll get him up here sooner rather than later. So, Tim, if you're still here, the invite is coming at some point. I don't think he is, but that is perfectly fine. Bob, I'm about to give you the floor so you can tell us what you have coming up or anything else that you want us to know. You can take it away.
Yeah, I'll be live tomorrow night on a State of Physical Media stream. That's going to be a ton of fun. We're diving into some very important topics as far as physical media goes. We're going to talk about scalpers, damage, art collectors, package collectors, things like that. So I'm really excited about that. I got Tony on, and I made sure to get different personalities on this stream that can. I made sure to get different personalities on this stream so that we can actually be like, okay, this is why I love Steelbooks, or this is why I am a completist, and then have somebody say this is why I'm not. So different opinions. And then I've got a stream Thursday on Mega Mike's channel. Next Monday I got a stream, I believe. I got them all written down. But Wednesday, Tim, next Wednesday, the 15th, and also the 14th, I'm doing Kelly Preston stream. But the 15th with Tim, I'm so excited for that. He's gonna be the next Hall of Fame nominee, and then Mel after that. But I've got some really fun things planned for Tim. I added a new segment. And we're going to poke some fun at a couple people in the community, or one in particular. So you won't want to miss it to see who we're poking fun at. But it's all love, and I just can't wait because Tim and I talk probably more than anybody else. So I just can't wait to have some fun with Tim on that stream. I'm going to definitely it's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to that. And so congrats to Tim. And I will almost certainly be there to check out the festivities. And that is a great thing that you're doing with the Hall of Fame. And that goes to what I was saying when in the intro to you. You're one of the people that really try to bring the community together, and I appreciate that. Thank you for that. As for me personally on my channel, I'm still. Life has gotten in the way a little bit of me doing pre-recorded videos and putting them out there. So they are coming, just not as rapidly as I would like. I do have my next guest for Movie Swap all lined up for next Tuesday, and that is the first of Bob's Hall of Famers. I'm going to have Tony from Basement Blues on here. So that'll be next Tuesday. Definitely check us out there. I'm not sure if it's going to be at 8 or at 9 yet. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Hit the like button on the way out. Sub to each other. Sub to Bob. That's all I have for you guys. I will catch you guys on the next one later.